Team Guy was not present in the Leaf Village when Pain attacked, and they were by far one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful team in the village. Not having them there was a big deal. The Leaf Village was heavily nerfed for Pain's invasion. Obviously, that was deliberate by Kishimoto. He didn't want the Leaf Village in full strength when Pain attacked, otherwise it wouldn't have been very successful. And he needed some stuff to happen for the arc to conclude in a satisfying way. I'm not saying that Team Guy not being there is a flaw in the storytelling, because we can always assume that many powerful shinobis are gonna be out of the village at any given time, because that's the nature of you being a shinobi. You're gonna be on missions. So this is actually a very valid storytelling tool to take characters out of a specific arc if you need to. Having said that, what would happen if Team Guy was in the Leaf Village when Pain attacked? Well, let's find out. But before that, subscribe to this channel and like this video if you enjoy my content. Team Guy is not only consisted of Might Guy himself, but also Rock Lee and Neji Hyuga, and also Tenten, but she is mostly useless. I don't think she would make any difference. But Neji and Lee would. They are powerful ninjas. Needless to say, Might Guy would be able to solo any path of pain with ease except for the Diva path. Guy would also be able to solo the Diva path, but with more difficulty. Neji and Lee, on the other hand, wouldn't be able to solo the Diva path, but they would be able to solo most of the paths of pain other than him. The paths of pain didn't have an extreme durability. Most of them were actually destroyed by a base Rasengan, including the Diva path. So Rock Lee and Neji would be able to output as much damage as a Rasengan, especially Rock Lee. If any of those three, Neji, Rock Lee, or Guy, encountered any path of pain that's not the Diva path by themselves, which is not an unlikely scenario because the pain paths scattered and started to attack the village individually, they would be able to take that path of pain down. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just remember that Konoha Maru at 12 years old took one down with a Rasengan. So if you don't think Rock Lee could take them with a Hidden Lotus, or if Neji couldn't take one with a 64 Palm, I think you should reconsider it, because that's just very, very likely. Of course, there's a chance they would deal with the summonings and other things like that. Maybe they would encounter Conan, which would be more difficult than a single path of pain. Needless to say, just by being there, Neji, Rock Lee, and Guy would be very useful in combating the enemy. But just having them in the village in random locations is not as much fun, especially for Might Guy, because there's a precedent for what Might Guy does during invasions of the village. He is usually with Kakashi. We can see that when the QB attacked, him and Kakashi were together. Not that they fought in the QB invasion, but they were still together. And also when Orochimaru attacked the village, they fought together and fended off like 100 sound ninjas and Kabuto at the same time. So I think there's a very high chance that whenever Pain attacked, Kakashi and Guy would be together. And if they were not together when the attack started, they would probably join forces. They would find each other in the middle of the village, because they know that they are the two most powerful jonins in the village, and they are a very powerful duo. They have very good teamwork, and they know that they would be the best chance for the village to defend themselves. Regardless of what happens, Guy and Kakashi would be together for the Pain attack. We know that Kakashi eventually fought the Diva path. He had some help from the Akimichi clan, and he was almost able to destroy the Diva path. He only didn't do so because the Asura path saved the Diva path at the last second, so he was only able to take down the Asura path. And sure, he had help, but this time he would have Guy's help, which is far better than the Akimichi clan. In the original, when Kakashi was about to face the Diva path, he immediately brought the Asura path as soon as he could, because Nagato knew that the Tendo Pain would not be able to hold down Kakashi by himself. Kakashi figured out the Shinra Tensei Bansho cooldown in 2 seconds, essentially, just by staring at Pain. With Guy there, their teamwork, and Guy being as powerful as Kakashi, this would be a very tough fight for Nagato. Also, there's nothing really saying that the Akimichi clan couldn't show up either, but this time they would be helping Kakashi and Guy against the Tendo Pain. If things remain the same in that fight, and you just add Might Guy, Pain is absolutely destroyed. destroyed. And by that I mean Tendo Pain and the Asura Path simultaneously. Adding Might Guy to the equation would just tip the scales in favor of Konoha tremendously. And if Kakashi and Guy are able to defeat the Diva Path and the Asura Path that early on, I don't see any other option for Nagato other than running away and just trying another day. Because obviously the Tendo Pain is the backbone of the Pain bodies, the most powerful one by far, and without him they wouldn't be able to do too much against the village. But of course that adding Guy there wouldn't be as simple as that. Nagato would react to it differently as well. If the Asura Path and the Diva Path wouldn't be able to handle Guy and Kakashi and the Akimichi clan, Nagato would bring in more Paths of Pain, possibly even more summons to help. And that's really the only option he would have. But this would offer another advantage for the Leaf Village, because the other Paths of Pain would have to disengage from the fights they were currently undergoing. They were essentially fighting the entire village, so that would relieve the pressure on the village by a lot, meaning that more shinobis could converge on the location Kakashi and Guy and the Akimichi clan were fighting the Paths of Pain, meaning more reinforcements, meaning more chances for the Leaf Village to win. I can eventually see every Path of Pain converging on that particular location, but then, of course, the word would get around and the ninjas would know to converge that as well to help Guy and Kakashi. Possibly even Tsunade might go there and help, because at that point of the story, she hadn't used up all her chakra healing the villagers from the catastrophic Shinra Tensei, so there would be reason for her to just show up there and help as well. In that scenario, Pain is just absolutely bodied. Even the 6 Paths of Pain cannot combat Kakashi, Guy, Tsunade, and a whole lot of ninjas backing them up as well. Sure, many would probably die, but eventually the Paths of Pain would be defeated. Konoha would also have Neji and Rock Lee as well, who would show up to this main event, this big fight between the Paths of Pain and the Leaf Village, and probably Conan as well. But Conan wouldn't be able to tip the scales in favor of the Akatsuki here, because they would simply be overwhelmed. Pain was able to attack the entire village at the same time because he was causing a lot of confusion. His objective was mostly to get the information of where Naruto was and not to fight the entire village. Of course, fighting the village was, you could say, a side effect of the invasion because he would have to fight them eventually. But you could see that many of the Paths of Pain were on the run within the village itself. Hell, Kiba and his mom were chasing down the Preta Path, and the Preta Path couldn't do much. The only thing he could do was flee. So having the paths converge at one location to fight Kakashi and Guy and much more people would be very bad for Nagato, because he wouldn't have this chaotic element of several ninjas disrupting the village, and the village would be able to concentrate their forces right where he is. And the problem for him is that if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't bring in reinforcements as quickly as he can to fight Kakashi and Guy, the Diva Path and the Asura Path would have been destroyed. Let's talk more specifically about what Guy would do in this fight to help. He would not start off with a 7th gate. He would probably start off with a 6th gate, which is his go-to gate to begin a fight against very powerful opponents, such as the Tail Beast Jinchurikis when they were fighting Obito in the War Arc. Frankly, the Asa Kujaku would be more than enough to defeat any Path of Pain. It was able to destroy the 30% Kisame clone, which should have a similar durability to the Paths of Pain, as the Itachi body double was taken out by a giant Rasengan, while many of the Paths of Pain were taken down by base Rasengans. Also, 6th Gate Guy would be faster than most Paths of Pain from the get-go. For instance, if the Naraka Path was unable to block a Rasengan from Konoha Maru or even dodge it, then he wouldn't be able to do much against a Taijutsu barrage from my Guy. Guy would also be amazing in fighting the Preta Path, which is pretty useless against Taijutsu, and he would be able to cover that for Kakashi. Kakashi, on the other hand, would be able to use his Chidori lightning style, lightning shadow clones and all that to fight the other Paths of Pain, trying to find an opening in the Shinra Tensei cooldown just like he did in the original, and almost succeeded if not for the Asura Path. Guy would never use the 8th gate in this situation because he wouldn't really need to, and the 8th gate would just cause too much collateral damage in the Leaf Village. If he really needed to, he would go into the 7th gate, and that would just create a world of trouble for the Pains. Guy would blitz almost all of them, and he would be able to withstand the force of the Shinra Tensei, just like the Six Tails version of the QB did did when he was fighting Pain. 7th Gate Guy is a beast. He was swapping hands with Jubidara. His strength should be comparable, at least, if not much higher than the Six Tails Kyuubi. So him resisting the Shinra Tensei through sheer power and physical strength is not far-fetched. Also, having Guy to cover for Kakashi so that they can mitigate the shared field of vision that Pain has would be very advantageous. Just like they were doing in the fight against the Jinchurikis in the War Arc, they were fighting back to back, and they were fighting multiple Jinchurikis at the same time. And sure, they were more powerful than they were in the Pain arc, though these two arcs are not that far apart, to be honest, while Tendo Pain was struggling a lot with just the Six Tails Kyuubi. And of course, that there is a possibility that the other paths of Pain that were trying to go and help the Asura path and the Diva path when they were fighting Kakashi and Guy, and Nagato had to bring them as reinforcements, would just get destroyed as well when they were trying to disengage of their current fights. Sure, some of them wouldn't, but imagine if Rock Lee and Neji were fighting one at that very moment. They would probably destroy one of the paths. And we can also assume that Konohamaru would deal a lot of damage to the Naraka path from the get-go as well. The Pains wouldn't be at full strength whenever they converge to fight Guy and Kakashi, and then the entire village would converge as well. Tsunade would also show up to help. She would distribute her slugs around to everyone in the battlefield, then she would just heal them whenever needed with the 100 healing seals. So that would be a very tough fight for Pain, and I can only see one thing for Pain to do here, which would be to go up and use the catastrophic Shinra Tensei, though that didn't really kill many villagers because Tsunade was able to save most of them by using her healing jutsu and spending all her chakra, but I don't see why she wouldn't do the same thing here. Honestly, I don't even think Pain would be able to do that. First, because there would be so many ninjas attacking them at the same time that Pain wouldn't be able to have the time to go up there and cast the catastrophic Shinra Tensei. Secondly, Kakashi would be alive here because he wouldn't have died if Guy was with him, and so he could use Kamui to snipe him out of the sky because he was essentially standing still there, a very easy target for the long-range Kamui. Also, they would notice, like in the original, that Pain was up to something really bad, so Guy could just simply whip out the Hirudora, which is a long-distance attack, much more powerful than anything else, more powerful than a Bijudama, and the Shinra Tensei wouldn't be able to handle that by itself. The Hirudora would easily one-shot Tendo Pain, even if he tried a Shinra Tensei to counter it. So he wouldn't be able to shot off the catastrophic Shinra Tensei out of the sky, which means he probably wouldn't even try to do that because he would know he would be under too much pressure. And in order to perform that powerful jutsu, he also has to give up the chakra he's pumping on the other paths of Pain. They fall down to the ground like dead puppets, and then he focuses everything on Tendo Pain, meaning that all the other paths would be taken down after this. So Tendo Pain would be the only one left, which wouldn't be advantageous for him. And the catastrophic Shinra Tensei also has a pretty decent time to charge, while Nagato focuses his entire strength on Tendo Pain. So there would be just absolutely no chance for him to do that. You may be thinking about him using Chibaku Tensei in this situation, but remember that he could not use Chibaku Tensei on the village itself. In the original, he had to bring the Nine Tails closer to Nagato's real body before he could perform Chibaku Tensei, so it would just not be possible in this scenario. And to complicate things even more for Pain, even if he's able to somewhat hold his ground against the entire village, fighting against the Six Paths with Guy, with Kakashi, and with Tsunade, Sage Mode Naruto would also eventually arrive at the village. And whenever Sage Mode Naruto arrives, it's game over, because Sage Mode Naruto is the strongest ninja in Konoha at this time, and the Leaf Village would already be winning against Pain, so whenever Naruto shows up, if there are any Pains left, he would just wipe the floor with them. There would be some casualties, of course, but Guy, Kakashi, Tsunade, Naruto, and all the main characters would be fine. The Leaf Village wouldn't have been destroyed like the original. Of course, there would be some substantial damage from the attack before the Pains converged and all that, just like they were deaths, but it wouldn't be nearly as bad. Tsunade wouldn't be in a coma either. She would have to regain some of her chakra, but nothing as bad as in the original, so Danzo wouldn't be able to get that chance of becoming a Hokage, after the Paths of Pain are killed, they would absolutely go after the original Nagato. And by the way, Konan would die here too because she would be in the fight, or she could maybe flee to where Nagato is, transforming her entire body into paper just like she does all the time and flying away. But regardless, it wouldn't change the outcome too much. The Leaf Village would be able to track where Nagato was. Naruto could use the absolutely same trick he used in the original of piercing himself with one of Nagato's rods and getting his location with Sage Mode. But this time, the Leaf Village would have much more people, and because Naruto didn't fight Pain by himself, the fight wasn't as difficult as it was in the original, and also because he wouldn't have listened to Pain's speech about pain and about suffering and all that, Naruto's demeanor when he arrived to Nagato's location would be much different. He wouldn't be willing to talk no jutsu Nagato. He would also not go alone, because many powerful ninjas, including Kakashi and Guy, would be with him. Even in the original, Inoichi and other powerful shinobis intercepted Naruto before he arrived to Nagato's location, and he just declined their help. But here, I don't see why Naruto would decline their help. They would just converge where Nagato is, and they would take Nagato as a prisoner. Sure, Nagato and Konan would probably try to fight, but I can easily see the most powerful ninjas in the Leaf Village, including Sage Mode Naruto, being able to overpower them and imprison them. If not that, they would just be killed. Konoha's main priority would be to imprison them, because having them as prisoners would just be a great advantage for the Leaf Village and honestly for the entire ninja world. Of course, this would mean that Nagato wouldn't resurrect the ninjas that died during the attack, but it wouldn't have been as many because the attack didn't last for as long around the entire village. Sure, there would be more losses in this timeline, but none of the important ninjas would have died, and also the village wouldn't be nearly as destroyed, so tit for tat, I guess. They would have two very powerful Akatsuki members as prisoners, and Nagato, frankly, he was pretty weakened. He could barely move without the Paths of Pain, and sure, the Rinnegan is very powerful, but I think they would be able to imprison him pretty well. And then maybe Naruto would talk to him in his prison cell, and the same thing could happen where Naruto converts him to the good side. Maybe in that scenario, Nagato even uses the Rinne Tensei to bring back Jiraiya whenever he's converted, because not nearly as many people died in the Konoha invasion. Another side effect is that Naruto wouldn't really be the hero of Konoha anymore in here, because sure, he could have helped during the attack, that's a possibility, but there's also a great chance that the Pain bodies would have been defeated before Naruto arrived, so he wouldn't necessarily be the hero of the Leaf Village here. Kakashi and Guy are more likely to be treated that way in this scenario. But there is another problem. Zetsu and Obito would know that Nagato was imprisoned because Zetsu just looks around everywhere and spies on everyone. Obito would try to send Black Zetsu, or maybe Black Zetsu does that by himself. But regardless, Black Zetsu would show up on Nagato's prison cell, attach himself to Nagato, and force him to use the Rinne Rebirth on Madara Uchiha. Because if you guys remember, that was the original plan. Nagato was supposed to use the Rinne Tensei to bring back Madara, and if Nagato was imprisoned in the Leaf Village, unable to do anything else for the Akatsuki and for the Tsukinome cause, he's no longer useful. Black Zetsu would simply use him as a pawn to bring Madara back, just like he tried to do with Obito in the War Arc, and I think it's very likely he would succeed. Nagato would be weakened, he wouldn't really be able to resist Black Zetsu. Also, he wouldn't really know what's happening. Black Zetsu could catch him while he is asleep or something like that. Whenever Madara is brought back, he wouldn't have his Rinnegan eyes, but this is very convenient as well because Madara's Rinnegan eyes would be where Nagato cast the Rinne Tensei. Zetsu could easily grab the Rinnegan eyes after he made Nagato cast the Rinne Tensei and just take them back to Madara. Madara Uchiha would be alive with two Rinnegans just after the Pain arc, and this would just change the story so dramatically that I cannot really cover in this video. It would be a video of itself, so if you're interested in seeing a continuation for this what if scenario, definitely tell me in the comments down below. And just think about how Team Guy being in the Leaf Village would have changed things in the Naruto story. Watch this other video right here for more content like this, subscribe to this channel, and like this video if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.